Lasers! Lasers everywhere. There's something cool and fascinating about lasers, because it's like, bzzz, look at me, I've got a cool laser sword. Look at all the different colors and listen to how it sounds. It's so cool. Even cats think so. Just look at cats. They're going crazy over those lasers, aren't they? Anyway, there comes a point in life where I personally feel like, okay, enough with the lasers, I want something else. Something more. I'm not talking about your typical pew pew lasers in Star Wars, or an X-Wing and a TIE fighter going at it, or a lightsaber fight. Those are actually quite enjoyable. What I am talking about are certain sci-fi, fantasy, superhero movies that have an end battle where the main character or some other character shoots a laser beam at the villain and they go like, bzzz, die villain, die! My laser is plain and average, and I will not be using any of my other cool and more entertaining abilities that I may possess because I've got my laser beam. So, do you agree? Or do you disagree?
If you are not agree what I'm saying, shut up!
Well, you better not disagree because I have examples. Example number 1, WandaVision. Second example, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2. Thanos vs. Iron Man in Infinity War, Thanos vs. Wanda in Infinity War, Thanos vs. Stormbreaker in Infinity War, Age of Ultron, X-Men Apocalypse, and lastly, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Rubbish. All of these movies, at some point in the movie or show, have the characters shooting a laser beam at the villain or some other character, and it's just like, how many times do I gotta see this? I want imagination in my superhero / magic fight scenes, not just different color laser beams shooting everywhere. I just want more. At this point, I'm surprised that the rebellion in Star Wars The Force Awakens didn't build a laser beam planet or another Death Star of their own and just use that one to fight the Starkiller Base laser beam. And then they would have been like, our laser beam is far more powerful than yours because we are the good guys and we have plot armor. And then Han Solo is like, hit it! Anyway, back to the point. And the point is, stop using laser beam abilities in a magical or superpowered fight scene. I want things to be more creative and imaginative in a fight between characters that have superpowers or magic powers. I don't want to just see laser beams everywhere. I'm not a cat. I'm prepared to go forward with it.
I'm not a cat.
Let's go with Marvel first, and specifically WandaVision. I was so excited about Wanda and Agatha both being super powerful witches to start fighting with cool and imaginative ways. And there is a little bit of that in the beginning where Wanda throws the car at her and a little mind tricks here and there. And I was like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome. But then after that, they proceed to throw purple and red laser blasts at each other. And it's just like, okay, do something else now, please. I was expecting for them to use their environment to their advantage so that the fight would be more entertaining, you know? But no, we get laser blast after laser blast after laser blast. They could have easily made the fight more entertaining by, for example, throwing more cars at each other. Always love more flying cars, and that is also an easy and subtle way to do some product placement on the show. Like, oh, Agatha, look at this Mercedes C-Class 2020 model. Ha! In your face! Oh, and look at this brand new Audi parked on the street. Ha! Got you again! They could have also used more mind tricks, like Agatha trying to trick Wanda by creating a vision of Billy and Tommy, and then they're just like, haha, we're not actually your children, and then they just spit venom at her. Or equally as scary is to make the vision of Billy and Tommy sing that horrible ice cream song from Multiverse of Madness over and over again on loop until Wanda completely loses her mind.
We like ice cream like every child should, and if we get some ice cream, we promise to be good. We like ice cream like every child should, and if we get some ice cream, we promise to be good. We like ice cream like every child should, and if we get some ice cream, we promise to be good. Now.
Yeah, I guess that would have been kind of too crazy, but you get the point. I did enjoy the fact that Wanda learns the runes from Agatha in the previous episode, and the laser blasts are actually to cover that she's creating the runes on the hex walls. And then she's like, oh well, how about you taste your own medicine for a change, you witch? But then in Vision versus Vision fight,
Destroy them with lasers.
Anyway, let's talk about a small indie movie called Infinity War. 18 movies in, and we have learned about these powerful Infinity Stones which have different powers, which have the ability to control minds, alter time and reality, open portals to black holes and other planets, and oh my god, what is going to happen in this movie? It is going to be absolutely insane. And what do we get? Lasers, lasers, lasers. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Infinity War, but I mean, I gotta say, I was a little bit disappointed in how they utilized the Infinity Stones throughout the movie. Look at the fight between Thanos and Tony. As soon as the gauntlet is free to use, what does Thanos do? Shoot laser. After all else fails for Tony, what does he do? Shoot laser. To be honest, this could be also a callback to Iron Man 2 where he uses his lasers as the final blow and kills all the robots. So maybe that was his idea, or the fight choreographers were lazy and they just want to see lasers beamed at everyone and that's all we get now. I don't know. Speaking of Iron Man 2, the fight between War Machine and Iron Man in Tony's house, what is the last move that they warn each other about? And they're even both like, oh, don't you dare do it. Come on now, don't make me count to 3. And then it's just lasers beamed at each other again. What else? Now, I just have a few questions for the purple-headed Wrinkle Chin. If he has successfully used the Reality Stone against the Guardians as soon as he got it from the Collector, then why couldn't he use the stone after a bit more practice and be like, reality is that Tony's suit doesn't work, or that the air is toxic all of a sudden, or break everyone's necks with the power or space stone, or remove their bones completely, or remove their skin, or make everyone turn into slugs. I'll take anything at this point. Like, when he walks towards Wanda in Wakanda, couldn't he just be like, turn into a slug, and bam, no more laser, and then he's like, yoink, Mind Stone acquired. It just doesn't make any sense that he would not use the gauntlet in any other way. And even when he gets all the Infinity Stones, the best he can do against a freaking spinning axe is to shoot laser at it, where he could have just turned the axe into a balloon or a feather or a slug. And what happened then? The laser wasn't a good option, was it? The axe is in your chest. Told you. You should have turned it into a slug. Oh well. Also, just gotta mention Endgame quickly. Here is an actual scene that happened in the end battle in Endgame. Alright Thor, use your more entertaining and imaginative ability of lightning and direct it to my laser modifier so that I can make it into a plain and average laser beam. Then there's Avengers, Age of Ultron, and X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, and by the way, these movies and shows are just at the top of my head. There's probably plenty of others that have an end battle which include shooting lasers at each other. Like here's one that I haven't even seen yet. So anyway, you remember these scenes with the good guys with different abilities just shoot laser at Ultron and it's like, take that you robot! Bzzz. And it's the same thing, except it's pretty much worse because while one person is pointlessly shooting laser at the villain, the other two could do something else, like, I don't know, try to use a magnet to ping him down, or Thor could try hammer Ultron's ribs while the other two are beaming their lasers, or whilst they're all shooting their laser beams at Ultron, Vision could peruse the internet and study super fast how to break the laws of physics by altering reality and turn Ultron into a slug, or just something else. Just don't all three of you just shoot laser beams at him. Come on! The same thing applies in X-Men Apocalypse, where all of the good guys are shooting their laser beams at the villain, and I know, Magneto doesn't really have laser, he has a stream of metal, which pretty much is the same damn thing. And I'll say this much, if he had a laser ability, he'd use that instead. And I can forgive Cyclops shooting his laser beam because that's literally the only thing he can do, so yeah, go ahead, beam your lasers, which is also probably the tagline for his spin-off movie, if they ever make one. Cyclops, go ahead, beam your lasers. Or Cyclops, it's laser beaming time. At least Charles and the Beast are trying to get to him in other ways than just beaming lasers. But guess what? Hand them a laser beaming gun and they'd be blasting away with the rest of the 15 X-Men that are beaming their lasers at the villain. Or however many X-Men there were in that movie. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while. So guess what the final blow is in that movie? A laser beam. Oh well, I mean, I guess it's not actually a laser beam, but the same effect really. Bright light burns him or whatever, and it's very much like a laser anyway. And then Magneto and Cyclops shoot their lasers and metal streams, and yeah, you get the point. It's lasers everywhere in that movie as well.
Destroy them with lasers!
So anyway, I guess it's time to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Rubbish. I think it's just very disappointing that one of my favorite characters in Star Wars sucks out the life force of the Force dyad that Kylo and Rey apparently is combined.
A dyad in the Force.
What the hell is even that?
At first, I was like, what is this Force dyad nonsense? But I was like, okay, let me see something cool come out of it. And when I saw Palpatine become more capable and less corpse-like, I was like, alright, he's gonna be more agile now and take out his lightsabers. He will be owning Rey and Kylo in a lightsaber fight, like he did in Clone Wars with Maul and Savage. But no, we get Force Lightning, aka a laser beam. Once again, all that Rey has to do is to deliver her hero line, X marks the spot, and make an X with the lightsabers and just reflect the lightning at Palps. Then he dies the same way as Apocalypse did in X-Men, although he isn't probably dead anyway.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
They will probably revive him for the next trilogy again in Star Wars Episode 10, The Re-Resurrection of Palpatine.
I have died before. I have died before. I have died before.
Would have actually been kind of cool to see Palpatine wielding a lightsaber or two against Rey, and then Rey would have been able to showcase some of her learned skills from Luke, could even use a move or skill that Luke taught her before finally pinning Palpatine down. But then the only way to destroy him would have been that all of the Force ghosts from the whole saga appear and use the Force against him, and then he finally dies. I guess they didn't have the budget for that since it's Disney. Because of these end battles showing only different color laser beams being beamed at each other, I'm really excited for that Netflix's new Avatar: The Last Airbender show. I mean, well, really is a strong word. Maybe decently excited? Because I know that the live action movie didn't have the most riveting action. But there's a lot of potential for it to be entertaining. Like, I like how the fights are based on different martial arts, and the choreographies could be way better than just everyone beaming lasers. Although, they could also go the lazy way of doing things and just have a beam of fire going at it for 5 minutes straight. I mean, look, I don't have high expectations, but I'm hoping no laser beams. You wanna know what is even more ridiculous than all the other ones I've talked about so far? Imagine having a character learn 7 years of spells and magic tricks and then only needing one spell to beat the villain. What the hell is this? Why even have Harry to learn any other spells? Dumbledore should have said to Harry in the beginning of his first year at Hogwarts, "Yeah, so you only really need the disarming charm to beat the villain of this 8-movie storyline. So, just start practicing this one spell, and you will be all set for Voldemort." Oh, but don't you think I would need some other spells to beat him? Isn't he like a really powerful wizard? Nah, you'll be alright. In fact, I used the Time Turner and went to see the ending of this storyline, 'cause, you know, I just couldn't wait. And the way you will beat him is just using Expelliarmus. Like, I just don't get it. They have all the different spells and attacks they could utilize in a fight between two wizards, but in the last fight, the main character and the main villain just shoot laser beams at each other. Why? Just why? Just compare the end battle in Deathly Hallows to the fight between Dumbledore and Voldemort in the Order of the Phoenix. That fight was freaking awesome, wasn't it? And you know why it was awesome? Because it didn't have any bloody plain laser beams shot at each other constantly. I mean, there was some of it in the beginning, but then they went on using other more imaginative spells and attacks, like the giant fire snake using the water from the fountain to make a water sphere, and shooting shattered glass and turn it into a dust, and then ending with Voldemort trying to invade Harry's mind. The only thing missing was them trying to turn each other into a slug. The cool thing about this particular fight scene was how it was executed and directed. There was no music during the fight, or it was very minimal, just the sound effects of the spells and abilities, plus the editing of showing the result of the spell into a reaction shot of Voldemort, then reaction shot of Dumbledore, and occasionally Harry's reactions. It was great, but then it is also kind of disappointing that we go from a great magic fight in the 5th movie to a plain and average fight in the 8th movie. They could have tried to top themselves in the final movie by making a similar sort of battle in Deathly Hallows, and that would have also shown the audience how Harry has grown and how skillful he has become over the years of practice and studying and experience, but no. All he has to do is Expelliarmus, and woohoo, the villain turns into dust like Thanos and Palpatine and Apocalypse. What is even weirder is that we we saw them doing the same bloody thing already in the 4th movie. Like, Voldemort is beaming his green laser and Harry's got his red laser. Come on, writers, did you not see the 4th movie? Did you not remember that they did the same exact thing? Just do something else for a change. In conclusion, these movies keep making a lot of money, so I guess it's pointless for them to be any more imaginative with the fight choreographies, so why would they bother? I just wish there was a little bit more creativity when it comes to the end battles between characters that have supernatural abilities, and I'm not saying it's a constant laser beam show, they do other stuff as well, I guess. But I feel like it's a lazy way for the characters to use their abilities. That is just my opinion. Anyway, I hope you liked my rant about laser beams. Consider liking this video if you liked the video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
If he gets all 6 Infinity Stones, he can...
Destroy them with lasers!